Item 5 on our agenda is consideration and possible approval of fiscal year 2020 contract with the Utah Association of Family Support Centers for temporary assistance for needy families.
Hello, Commissioners.
Shelley.
If you recall, about 4 years ago, the Family Support Centers across the state received money from from TANF, which is federal money passed down through the Department of Workforce Services. Those monies ended June 30th of this year, and we were able to secure more funding through the Association of Family Support Centers, and it's less funding, but it's still funding, so we're excited. And so the contract is actually going to be with the Association of Family Support Centers. So the TANF funds, that's federal money, pass through the Department of Workforce Services, then funneled to the Utah Association of Family Support Centers, and then they branch out with among each family support center.
They try to wear that money out. Huh?
It is, yeah. There's a long paper trail. So it's a 2-year grant, but we will. We're going to sign a contract for just this first year that will end June 30th, 2020. And then they will amend the contracts to reflect additional funding if there's any additional funding to add. But the focus of this contract and this service is to continue with some of our home visiting, our parent education program, home visiting, and our crisis nursery, so it will help those 2 main programs and to help us continue functioning, so helping families.
That's great. I have no comment.
I don't either.
Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion then to approve for fiscal year 2020 a subcontract with the Utah Association of Family Support Centers for temporary assistance for needy families, or TANF.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
And can I bring this up for you
Sure.
to sign? Okay, thank you.
And thanks for everything you do out there. You run a great facility. It's a needed service.
Okay, you have a lot of hoops to jump through because there's federal money involved, so you deserve a pat on the back. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you keep busy and have good results from the center. So thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. Item 6 is a review and possible approval of the 2019 personal property tax exemptions.
Hi, Commissioners. You all should have a listing of all the personal property businesses located in the county that have applied for the property tax exemption. They can apply for the property tax exemption if they have taxable value of $10,800 or less, $10,800 or less. This year we have 622 accounts that have applied for the application or exemption, so I'm just here today for your approval.
Can you tell us, just give a little bit of information when this was put into effect, and do you remember?
It's been a lot of years since it's been in effect, but it's actually code 5921115. So every year they've done this, it increases based on the consumer price index. So I believe when we first started, I can't even tell you off the top of my head how much it was, but now we're up to $10,800. It has been changed for next year. It will be at $15,000. So it's going to be a few more exemptions.
Commissioners, just for disclosure, one of the businesses that has applied is owned by my wife and I, so I will abstain from voting.
Okay.
Hearing that, I guess I will make a motion then that approve the approval of the 2019 personal property tax exemptions.
I'll step down and second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7 is application for new property tax exemption. Seth, can you take that?
Yeah, this is an application by Four Corners Mental Health. They recently purchased the old Key Bank building here on Main Street, 695 East. And Jeannie Wilson with the Four Corners came to the office, filled out an application to have that property tax exempt. They're a 501c3, so they qualify for that, and it's just bringing that before you to each year, just as Julie did, we do a similar thing with tax exempt organizations and their properties, and we've already done that this year, so this is just an addition to that list.
Do we know what they're going to do with the other 2 properties that they currently own?
I haven't heard.
I think they'll end up trying to sell it.
Both of them or just one of them?
Just one.
The one on,
First North
okay.
and First West. I think that one they will not need any longer. There's still some discussion about that, but they have kind of outgrown the facility they're in. They actually have 3 facilities locally, the one on First North, and then they have one on First South and 6th, I guess about 600 East, and then they have the, what do they call the center? Around the Friendship Center, just around the corner from that. And this will actually prove to be a real good move for them because it'll put all 3 of their facilities very close together. The folks that owned the Key Bank actually sold that at a very reasonable price to them, so they'll do some remodeling in there, and that'll be a nice place. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the tax exemption for the new Four Corners Community and Behavioral Health property located at 690 East Main Street.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 8 is a consideration and possible approval of Ordinance 522, regulating the use of compression brakes on State Road 157 in Carbon County. This road is actually, if you're on Helper Main Street and you go south through Spring Glen, that is this road that's called the State Road 157, and it's been requested that a noise ordinance be put in place there, which if the commission approves that, then that allows for the Utah Department of Transportation to put signage up on their road that would notify the big trucks to not use their engine brakes along there where there are residents. So
After the ordinance is approved, how long before it can go into effect? Do we have to publish it in the paper, do you know?
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 30 days. I'm sorry, I didn't think to check on that, but yeah.
Okay, so it may take a little bit of time before it fully goes into effect.
I think making the
Okay.
effect, yeah, well, it's effective upon its publication, looks like, so.
Yeah,
I didn't draft the ordinance, but
okay.
I did talk to Chief Anderson from Helper just about an hour ago and make him aware of this, so he's in favor of it also for Helpers.
I think this is a good thing, especially with all the residents that live along that road. Is there any
Absolutely.
further discussion?
No.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 522, regulating the use of compression brakes on State Road 157.
I'll second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 9, consideration and possible issuance of a statement of intent by the Carbon County Board of Commissioners to levy a tax rate in 2020 that exceeds the 2019 certified tax rate pursuant to code annotated section 59-2-9193A. The purpose of the additional ad valorem tax revenue generated by the proposed increase in the certified tax rate is to enable the county to continue providing existing services in light of the decreased mineral royalty revenues traditionally used to supplement county funds. The dollar amount of the additional ad valorem tax revenue to be generated by the proposed increase in the certified tax rate is, and in our agenda and what was put into the paper, is $1.6 million. There's been a change to that. We have gathered information over the last 3 days heavily, and we've determined that that is low, and that number will change now to $2.2 million. The approximate percentage of the increase in the ad valorem tax is going to be 16.34%. So that item on the agenda, and we have a statement that Tony's going to read for us about that.
Do we want to discuss this first before we make a motion? Or we just want to
Go ahead, let's
Okay.
discuss it. Go ahead, yep.
read this?
Read that.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that the Carbon County Board of Commissioners make and adopt the following statement. The Carbon County Board of Commissioners does hereby declare its intention to levy a tax rate in 2020 that exceeds the 2019 certified tax rate pursuant of Utah Code annotated Section 59-2-919, Section 3, Part A. The specific fund for which the tax rate will be increased is the Municipal Services Fund. The purpose of the additional ad valorem tax revenue generated by the proposed increase in the certified tax rate is to enable the county to continue providing existing services in light of the decreased mineral royalty revenues traditionally used to supplement the county funds. The dollar amount of the additional ad valorem tax revenue to be generated by the proposed increase in the certified tax rate is $2,200,000. The approximate percentage increase of the municipal service portion of the ad valorem tax revenue is 833%. The approximate percentage increase is hereby the approximate increase of all ad valorem tax revenue received by Carbon County will be 16.34%. The clerk auditor is hereby instructed to prepare a notice required by Utah Code annotated Section 59-2-919, Section 3, Part C, of the intended certified tax rate increase and the public hearing on the tax rate, and to mail those out to each owner of property no later than 7 days prior to the municipal general election scheduled for November 5th, 2019.
Any other comments or discussion before we vote for the public?
I think, just for information, I think it would be good to talk about where some of the shortfall is coming from. Last year, if you think that's appropriate, last year we had received $2.4 million in mineral lease funds. That came directly to the county. This isn't talking about the Special Service District. This year we had budgeted $700,000, and that fits in line with what we traditionally receive, is around that $700,000 to $1 million, or just over $1 million. This year we've received $80,000. Just right around 80,000?
Yeah, it's just over 80,000.
Just over 80,000. So even doing a conservative budgeting on the amount of monies that we receive to the county in mineral monies has far exceeded it. So that's where some of this excess is coming from the original amount that was posted, the 1.6. I don't see, and what we've looked at, there's nothing that's going to make up that loss in revenue that comes directly to the county. Some of the other needs that we have at the county, and the school district did a great job of it, of explaining where the needs are. For the past several years, we've been cutting back and trying to spend less dollars, which has put some of the maintenance things behind, and so this would actually put us at a spot to where we can start taking care of some of those needs. And it's still going to be a budgeting process. We won't be able to take care of all of those needs in 1 year. For example, the servers are $100,000, and they're due to be replaced. Equipment at both the road shop, the sheriff's office, the ambulance, all of those have time frames that they come due, and with the money that we receive currently, we've been getting further and further behind on replacement of those vehicles. And also our roads, we've opted to choose, to chip seal less roads throughout the years, which puts us further and further behind on our road maintenance. We've done a good job at stretching our dollars and the materials that we use. We've been able to be very efficient at that, but we're not getting the number of lane miles that we need to stay on top of the roads. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, Larry and I are new to this whole process. We've been here 9 months, and one of the things I ran on, well, a couple of the things were to balance budgets and economic development. And when you take a look at the budgets and you see exactly where we're at, I can throw out all kinds of names: Plateau, Willow Creek, Westridge, Andalex, Tower, White Oak, Hidden Splendor, and for all intents and purposes, Dugout. To this day right now, we don't have a coal mine in Carbon County. We have Skyline, that the property's in Carbon County, but the actual coal is being mined elsewhere. We've had the closure of the carbon plant. We've had Bill Barrett leave. We've had Whiting leave. We've had a couple other gas companies leave. In 1988, that's when it started, that we started getting some mineral lease money. And we were getting the county was getting anywhere from $10 to $12 million. And as Casey said, we're at 80,000. So as we've progressed over the years and we've seen the shortfall, we have to get the unincorporated areas of the county more in line with what the cities are paying. What we're proposing tonight does not affect Wellington, Price, Helper, those residents. This is for the unincorporated areas, and they will be paying a little bit closer to what the cities are, still less than what the cities are for one item on your taxes, and that's the municipal service. I want to make it clear, because there was a big blow up a couple years back, that this was an overall tax increase for everybody. That's not the truth. That's not the facts. And for those, I don't know a better way to say this, but for the trolls on social media that are out there spouting things, they don't know what they're talking about. This is a needed thing. The other option we have, frankly, is to close services. So we've been fortunate to have the coal and the gas and the power generation around, but we all know this is gone, and it's not coming back. The easy coal's gone, the gas pressures are gone. We cannot rely on that any longer to fund our lifestyles. When you talk to business owners, which I have talked to several, they're surprised this tax hasn't hit years before, because they all know and see that exactly what I just said, that the energy is going away. So again, I don't want to do taxes. I don't want to pay any more taxes, but I don't know if we want to give some of the percentages or dollars that we've kind of come up with. Maybe I'll let you speak to that, but that's my 2 cents.
And I left them on my desk. But typically and Seth, you can help here. So a resident of Price City that has a home, a value of around $200,000 would be paying Price City Municipal Fund. Seth, how much was it? 230? 232?
Yeah, it was about 235.
Okay, 235. And a Carbon County resident would be paying $31. So there's a huge discrepancy, and as this new tax is added to those in the unincorporated parts of the county, it just brings the municipal portion of our the county residents would, it would bring that up in line with what the cities already are paying. So for many years, that extra money was being, the mineral lease money was actually being put into those funds to pay for the services, to allow for our unincorporated tax to be lower where we've had it. So might make mention that legally we need to do two things. We're strapped with the responsibility of balancing the budget. And I know of nothing that has weighed on us more in the last few weeks than this. And we have looked hard and deep at any services we are providing to try to justify why we would raise taxes. And unless we want to give up senior services, which right now we subsidize $500,000 for those services a year that comes out of our general fund. We have those folks who think that that should be higher. And there's been a lot of discussion about why the senior building is closed one day a week. That's why, is that's a heavily subsidized thing for our senior citizens. And the services in all of the sports and activities that are provided, the things that go on at the fairgrounds, those are additional things that we would have to cut out if we don't raise taxes. And here we are trying to make our community a place where businesses want to come and locate, to try and offset the loss in the depleted mineral lease monies. And if we have none of those services here for people to want to move a company here and hire people, there's an expectation on the part of those employers that we have a quality of life here that is something unique and that would draw people here to be employed in those new businesses. So we're really stretched in the middle here trying to figure out what to do. The $2.2 million, as we issue this statement tonight, becomes the maximum amount that we could raise taxes. So that doesn't mean we're going to raise the taxes, the full $2.2 million, but we have to establish an amount, and we have to publish the rate, which we've talked about tonight. There will be 2 notices in the newspaper, the radio, as public notices to the citizens of the community of what we intend to do. And then between now and probably the middle of November, or excuse me, the middle of December, a decision needs to be made by the middle of December of how much we raise. There will be 2 public hearings where the public will be able to come and voice their opinions about this tax increase.
If I could, Commissioner.
Yes.
One thing too, just from experience, people get fixated on the percentage rather than the dollar amount. Now, if I said, as we did 3 years ago, 700%, everybody freaked out. This time it's higher, it's 833%. Which sounds a lot. It's one line item out of 10 on your taxes. And just for ballpark, for every $100,000 of your house, it's about $10 a month increase. So the amount of revenue that was coming in on that fund before, the municipal service line item, was very minimal. So the dollar amount is what I need people to focus on and not the percent. So again, for every $100,000, your property or your tax will go up about $10 a month.
Yeah, prior it was at $2.70 or something like that a month. It wasn't very much.
I guess the only thing to add to this, or from my thoughts are, you talked about the two things that we can control are the budget and our economic development efforts. There is a big push from the county. We're working with both private people in the county to try and find ways to bring investment to the county to grow our local businesses, as well as we're trying to hit those home runs of bringing new businesses to the area. And we've had a little bit of success in both of those, but those don't offset this fast enough. You have to have a significant amount of growth in business before there's enough there to offset the taxes to be able to see the new growth. But it's happening. Intermountain Electronics was announced this year. SME Steel, we've worked with, I see one of our local residents here that we've worked with to try and get some other businesses. We're working as hard as we can on that effort as well to try and ease the burden on the citizens, because it's new growth in our community that will change this dynamic of a continued need for new taxes. If we can get new growth, people moving into the community, businesses expanding, that as the property values go up, meaning new businesses, the rate goes down and we all pay a little bit less.
Absolutely.
And Seth, I'll ask you to explain for the elderly who are on fixed incomes, there is a tax break. Can you explain that?
Yeah, in my office they have tax exemptions that they can apply for. One of is a circuit breaker, meaning someone that has a low income or fixed income. This year, the max they can make is $32,000. And if they're under that, depending on how much, there's a graded scale of how much of a discount they get on their taxes. Yeah, they can come and apply in our office. And that is due by September 1st. So we usually send out notices in March. There's other exemptions that people can apply for, whether they're a disabled veteran, blind. There's a couple of them, so it's worth looking into for sure, for especially people who are low income or fixed income.
Thank you.
I think on that note, the other important thing to note for those that do live in the cities sometimes offer a tax break of their own. I know Wellington does for veterans, and I'm not sure what the other cities do, but I believe they have some other tax breaks that can be applied for through the cities as well.
So I made a motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone have any questions from the audience or would like to ask some questions about this? Yeah. Cheryl, you come on up so we can get you on the microphone.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Cheryl Lupo. Have you guys looked into a tier step program for your tax increase? And have you come up with any ideas along the line? I know you probably won't go through with 800%, but if you stepped it for the long term because of some of your businesses that are coming in, maybe the momentum will start with more businesses coming in. You know, I still have my ears and eyes open for, people that want to come in. Sure. The one that I actually talked to, they look like they're looking at the end of this year, possibly. That would bring more revenue. But even if you'd started a tier, to get those unincorporated back on track, just a suggestion if, and I don't know if you guys have looked at that or not.
We have, and a tier makes us continue to pull more money out of reserves.
Yeah,
and
correct.
So
yeah.
the biggest challenge that we're facing is trying to make sure we don't deplete those before we see the increase in the businesses that are coming in, and we're looking at the amount of revenue those businesses will bring in tax dollars. There's some of it that's very predictable, and then there's other parts of employees moving here that's a little more difficult to figure out exactly how much that's going to be.
Yeah, because some of the work that I did with this business, they were really enticed by the taxes. That was their jump up and down moment. And, you know, to increase those taxes to where they are in Ogden compared to down here, we would still be under what they're doing up there, but not by very much. And that was kind of the enticing moment for them.
Yeah.
Also for residents is, you know, people that want to come to our community. The other thing is, you know, just a suggestion as well is, I know that employees got an increase in their wages, and if we don't have a county and we can't pay bills, we won't have a county. I'm sure that the state won't let the county fail. They'll step in and do something, I'm sure. But, you know, some of the wages that could be actually decreased just so that they can have a job, because most people would be thankful to have a job even though their wage might be.
So the last wage increase was over 4 years ago.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is that I can't give myself a wage increase if my pocketbook is down here, but
Right.
I can do more when it's at this level. So, and I'm not saying that
Right.
that they should take a decrease. I'm just
Right.
saying, you know, as a resident, it would be, you know, to throw their hat in the pool and say, you know, we're trying.
Yeah, and we've looked at that and everything. One of the problems that we're facing with some of the employees, and not every position, but some of the positions, is that if you decrease it, then they just go to the private sector because the wage scale gets so out of line
Well, sure. Yeah. Of course
that
it
we
would.
can't keep employees at the county to perform the functions.
Yeah, and I get that
Yeah.
as well, but, you know, when you've got, you know, what I've seen in the private sector and talking to people is that why don't the employees just take a cut and pay that will still keep their jobs, you know, and then when the economy goes back up, get that wage back up, but at least it shows to your community that you're willing to sacrifice as well. And that's my point behind it.
The last 2 years in a row, we've taken a pay cut because the 2 years ago, the county paid for 100% of the health insurance for employees. 2 years ago, it went to 5% that the employees pay for, so they took a 5% pay decrease as related to their health care. And last year was another 5%, so the last 2 years.
We just got our health care increased by $100.
Right, and I'm just saying,
you know,
you're saying we should give them
Yeah,
pay decreases.
yeah.
They've taken a pay decrease 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm not trying to do an argument here, but I'm saying that us as private citizens, if we want our health care, we had to eat that $100 because, or just go find another job. And who's to say that your medical, you know, is going to be better for another $200 more or not? And I'm just, what my argument is, and what I'm saying, what I'm hearing from the citizens in the county is that you guys, you know, everybody knows what you guys make because it's out there, it's online, and to throw your hat in and say, you know what, I'm just going to do it because it shows that you're part of trying to create an environment that you're trying to find a solution for. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to put an argument out there. I'm just trying to throw a thought out there that, and I know you have. I know you guys have taken yours. Our wage didn't increase by any means, but we had to take this extra $100 for our medical, and it didn't change our medical benefits. It actually got rid of our eye vision. So I understand it, you know. So that I'm just a suggestion.
These are great suggestions.
Thank you,
Okay.
Cheryl.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Gordon Odendahl. I live in the county, and I was just thinking the school board's request for a bond on top of the increase in property taxes is, I feel like we're getting hit with a double whammy. But I would like to clarify, ask you if you could clarify a couple of things. The bond election is that actually a tax increase, or is that a loan that they're going to get that they will pay back with their existing tax funds that they receive? My other question is, on the written ballot, were you to vote for the bond election, that was a piece of paper that you sign, send in. To me, voting has always been, I guess not anonymous, but a private thing. And if I sign a paper that somebody else is going to see that shows my vote, that's not private to me. So just wondered how that works.
Seth would be able to answer that. It does have your name on it. They remove the name before their ballots are scanned, but you can speak more to that.
Right, and this is in the article that's put out in the newspaper, and that's a great question. But yeah, by law, we can't know what a specific person votes for. So, good question. What happens is as the ballots come in, there's 2 seals on the ballot or the envelope, and the first one we open that seal when we receive the ballot in our office, and it only shows the back of the ballot, which is where your signature is. It doesn't show the ballot, which is inside the envelope. And so we verify that signature. We don't see the ballot. We put them in batches of 50, and then on election day, what we do is we open the envelope. We have one person do that, and they hand off the ballot and the envelope. So we never see what you, and it just gets put in the group. So we never see what you specifically voted for, but we verify that you are who you say you are, and we give you voter credit, meaning that you voted. So.
Okay, thank you.
I might mention that in regards to the school bond election, I can't answer how that works. It is, they are going to need a bond to borrow the money, and I think the payback's coming out of the increase.
Okay.
So they're retiring a bond, from what I understand. So they had a bond that they're just paying off. So they're opting to take that instead of losing that money that was coming in from that bond, and with a slight increase on that bond, which would be the increase of, I can't remember, whatever they've put out there. I think it was like $30.
This handout is really good. I don't know if you saw this, but to answer your question, the bond, and again, I'm not with the school district, so take it for what it is. They pay for the bond through property taxes. So it says here that they'll retire a bond at the same time, and the net result will be approximately $68.90 increase on property taxes for an average home in Kermit County, which is a $125,000 valued home. So that's a great handout. Kind of explains. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate that.
If I could make a clarification too, or just the bond is a request from the school district, where our budget is mandated by the state. We have to have a balanced budget by the end of each year. So theirs is an ask, ours is a mandatory. So there is differences there. Some people don't quite get that, but I know you get it, Gordon, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks, Gordon. Okay, seeing no other hands up. Are there any department reports?
We have them here for after the meeting.
Okay.
I just want to acknowledge Gene. It's great to see you over there,
Thank you.
sir.
It's old times to be here.
Thank you.
Old times. I used to be the guy who came to the meetings, but that was pre-Christian. That's a long time.
That was pre-Mike era coming onto the commission too.
When Utah was a territory, I used to.
Yeah. But thank you for sitting in for Christian. You did a stand-up job.
Delighted to be
So.
here. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And on that note, I'll make a motion to close.
Okay. Thanks for coming.